Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Unbotchable podcast. I'm your host, Bryant Niles. And today we have a stupendous show for you today. See what I did there? Stupendous. Now, I want to start by saying thank you for clicking and listening onto this podcast. I know what you're thinking. What is this guy? What are his credentials? Why should I listen to this guy? I have no credentials. There's no reason for you to listen. The only reason you should listen is because, much like you, I am a fan. Professional wrestling and sports. And sometimes that's what you need. You need a perspective of someone who is in a similar place to you are. Not an insider, not a wrestler. You need yourself. And that's what I give. Now I'm going to give a little overview of what the show going forward can be. It's really going to be up to you guys, what you guys think is going to be the best for you guys. Whatever you want, you tell me, and I will do it. There's definitely going to be an episode every Saturday, weekly roundup, whatever you want to call it. If you want episodes like after Raw episodes, after SmackDown, Wednesdays after Dynamite, whatever you want, just let me know. But as of now, it's going to be every Saturday until you guys tell me otherwise. Make sure you follow all the social medias at Unbotchable. You can get the podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, all those kind of places. But now, I want to jump into the episode. I want to start with the Vince and Trips of it all. Triple H, Vince McMahon, creative. Who's doing what? Who's got more say? Who has any say? I have no say. Do you have any say? Nobody knows. And what I want to do for this episode, since it's just its first episode, debut episode, I just wanted to get positive and negatives of both. I know what you're thinking. Oh, no one can have positives of Vince McMahon. Ah. Well, you can. There's some positives. He's been doing it for, 20, 30 years? So obviously he knows what he's doing. He's done it for a while. We're familiar with it. Anything you're familiar with, you want to continue to do. Whether it be school, you like math, then all you want to do is math because you're good at it, you're familiar with it. It's the same thing with him. You've had it for 20, 30 years. You're like, oh, you're comfortable. You like it. That kind of thing. And we already know what he can do. He can build the stars. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people that can build new stars. Triple H, on the other hand, his positives are probably much more outreaching than Vince's. Triple H, first off, he was a wrestler, which I guess creatively, compared to Vince, who was done this all his life pretty much, from when his father owned it to now his son, or him being his son. He knows the insides and out, but Triple H knows the insides and out as a performer. So in a way, he's able to communicate better with the talent. He's able to get them to agree to things they might otherwise disagree to. Which with Vince, it was kind of like they obviously respected him and took his opinion for what it was because he's Vince McMahon. But with Triple H, he was someone that was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, then became Triple H. So he knows the good and the bad, and he's able to get people to understand where he's coming from when he's saying something. The negatives of both are interesting when I was thinking about it. For Vince, we know it can be repetitive. It's a lot of the same things over and over and over again. And his stuff is just not as serious. It's a lot of goofy things, weird things, out of the box things, golden eggs, the whole thing. But with Triple H, what I've noticed, it's not really a negative long term, but short term, The way he does creative makes it hard to tell interesting stories now. It takes months to build something that is like a all-time classic angle, but it takes a long time to get there. So in the meantime, you're kind of just stuck. But you had the Sami Zayn Roman Reigns that was brewing for almost a year. First under Vince, then under Triple H, but it was able to flourish more under Triple H because he already had the background. So all he had to do was add his long-term genius and really flesh it out and make it what it wanted it to be. But with now, a lot of the storylines you have with Triple H are like episodes, short term, nothing with the women's division, which is a topic for a different day. But another thing I saw was with new talent making an impact on his roster. On Vince's roster, he had a new talent. 9 times out of 10, they were doing something important within the next 3 weeks. With Triple H, not really. They're kind of just showing up, getting a cup of coffee, and then you don't see them for 3 weeks. Or you don't see them for a month. Or AJ Styles gets hurt and you don't see the Good Brothers for 3 months now? Besides a Battle Royal, which I don't think made sense, but whatever. But when you look at them both, there's a lot of positives and negatives that can be had for both of them. Obviously, Triple H is the way to go because new competition, a new merger. With everything going on, you can't have a older person like Vince McMahon running it and trying to be hip and cool and whatever other adjectives he would describe himself as, compared to Triple H, who is more hip, more cool. Everybody loves him. A pop culture icon. Kind of like a Ric Flair, like a modernized Ric Flair. Everybody loves Ric Flair. But then when you go down the line, people get older. Triple H can be like the new Ric Flair to that generation. Now, one of the things I wanted to do with this podcast is shed a light on talent, whatever company they're from, AEW, Impact, WWE, whatever, New Japan, on talent that I feel is not as praised as they should be. You know, whether that be in the ring, promotionally, just personal opinion. And what I wanted to do for this episode, since it's a very WWE heavy episode, I wanted to talk about Karrion Kross. He's a bigger name, so I wanted to start with a bigger name. But I feel like with what we were just talking about with the Vince and the Triple H ways of writing creative, we saw Karrion Kross with Vince and his weird overall thing, and now with his really awesome look. And I think it's just a way of showing that sometimes when you think you're cool and you think you know what people want and what people think is cool, you don't. And you just end up ruining things. And that's kind of what happened to Karrion Kross. And it's taken him a while to try to break out of that cycle he was in. You know, obviously he got released. But then when he came back, there was still that dark cloud hanging over him. Where he was still the guy, bald head, weird overalls with a circle, whatever that was. Doing whatever, no Scarlet. But now he has kind of been able to step up into his own fruition. That's not the word, but he's his own new person, kind of, compared to when he was on the main roster last time. His promos have been spotlight television. If you turn them on, you watch them, they've been one of the best things I've seen in a while. Because he's able to toe the line between the supernatural elements of his character and the carrying cross, I'm gonna beat you up kind of guy. Big mean, big beanie man, slapping meat man. And I think that with his ability to talk and do those kind of vignettes, his abilities in the ring, which everybody knows he has, and his presentation overall, he's probably primed for a huge year this year. But I wanted to bring a spotlight to him, and we'll do so in other episodes going forward to other talent, probably lesser known talent, or not lesser known, but less star name. Give them their props. But for Karrion Kross, he didn't get a fair shake the first time. He's getting a fairer shake this time, but I feel like he's getting reminded in the fans' eyes of what he was with Vince, and it's given him a hard time to try to shake that. I think with this upcoming Shinsuke Nakamura feud, it's going to be, I wouldn't say a Gunter Sheamus level physicality feud, but it'll be a hard-hitting affair. And I think that'll be able to pull people from, he's a goofy-looking guy with overalls, to a guy that knows what he's doing, knows where he's at, and knows how to be a winner. Now, a lot of news has been breaking recently, and one of the big ones is there's a new AEW show coming on Saturdays. According to the insiders, it's Sean Ross Sapp and Meltzer and all those people. It's going to be called AEW Collision, launching in June, mid-June. But the big news coming out of that is the CM Punk of it all. CM Punk, obviously, with his backstage banter fights with the Elite, he should be the headlining act of this show. Which sounds weird to say a headlining act, but they're calling him a headliner, so I guess that's what he is. But in my opinion, this is a bigger news-worthy topic than All In London. Bigger than All Access, obviously. Bigger than any announcement they've done, even though they haven't even announced it yet. But it's bigger than anything because what it does now is it gives equal opportunity for everybody on the roster. So no longer will they sign Juice Robinson, send him to dark for 6 months while they wait for Jay White's contract to expire. Now, they can put him on a different show. 2 hours. It puts them on par for the first time with the WWE. It allows them to, not that they're competing against each other, but they both have 2 shows. They both have the same amount of space to fill up. They both have the same amount of talent, give or take. So what it means is that now if you're a free agent, if you are a Jay White in the future, WWE was clearly the better option, exposure-wise, time-wise. You had more chance to get on TV. But now with this second show, it completely levels the playing field. Which brings me to the topic, the long-standing topic of who has the edge between the two companies. Just recently with the Jay White going to AEW in the midst of the WWE UFC merger, the Brian Cage signing on for 5 more years with AEW. To me, it shows me that the talent that are comfortable with AEW and what they have, they'll choose there 9 times out of 10. Because now they have more shows, they have an equal standing in the wrestling community. They're able to better broadcast with New Japan, like work with them, get their talent out, and then people know who they are. With WWE, it's a global brand. But if, say, you're in Japan and all you watch is New Japan, you're not going to really care much for the WWE guys, but you'll care for the AEW guys because some of them are showing up there. Some of them go to Japan and stay for a while, do whatever they have to do, show off. Some of the Japan guys will go to AEW, and if you want to see them, you just gotta watch that. So to me, it brings an interesting dynamic between the two brands. Because obviously, in my opinion, WWE is a more storyline driven company, brand, while AEW is a action driven brand. You watch the show, there's probably more times of action than there are talking, when in WWE it's the opposite. There's more times of talking than there is action, which is, both ways are good. There's always a positive for more talking, more action, whatever you need. But really, you want like a solid mix. Do both have a good mix? Maybe. AEW has a good mix, with MJF leading the charge, doing all the talking. And WWE has great in-ring action right now. But really, it goes to the opportunities that you can get as a superstar. Or wrestler, whichever you prefer. And Jay White, Brian Cage, FTR, they chose the action. They chose the opportunities to go to Japan, opportunities to go to the independents, over the glitz and the glamour of the WWE. Now, this is a shorter episode, as it's a debut episode. Just wanted to get some topics out there, get some stuff on the webs, see what you all had to say. Possible when you guys want up episodes, Mondays, Fridays, Wednesdays, let me know. But as of now, until next Saturday, that is all I have for you. Thank you for listening. And until next time, stay off the top rope.